Nobody teaches you this. Not your dad, not school, not society. But one day after the breakup, the betrayal, the silence, you start asking the question, why didn't I see it coming? Here's the truth: most men only figure out when it's too late. Women aren't complicated. They're just playing by rules no one ever bothered to explain to you. You thought being nice was enough. You thought loving her was enough. You thought loyalty, consistency, vulnerability, all the things they said they wanted would keep her around. But they didn't. Because there are things about women no one tells you. Things they feel but don't say. Things they test you for without warning. And if you don't learn them, you lose. Every time. This video is going to expose that. From silent tests to attraction, triggers, from what really turns her off, to why she's watching you, even when she's gone. We are breaking it all down through the lens of Stoicism and raw reality. If you're a man who's tired of confusion, tired of guessing, tired of being blindsided, then hit subscribe, because this is not about tricks, it's about truth. Let's start with what no one warns you about. She already decided who you are the moment she met you. Number 1. She already put you in a box. You walk into the room, she looks at you, and before you even say a word, she's already decided who you are. That's the part nobody tells you. She doesn't need days, weeks, or deep conversations to form her first judgment. It happens fast, instinctively, because women are wired to categorize men for survival, for attraction, for control. In her mind, you've been sorted. You're either the provider, the safe guy, the emotional sponge, the entertainment, or the one she can't quite figure out, the one that makes her heart race. And once she makes that call, it's hard to undo. That's the danger most men never see coming. You think that if you just keep showing up, keep being nice, keep texting, keep proving yourself, she'll eventually change her mind. But she won't. Because the box she put you in isn't about logic. It's about instinct. And instinct doesn't need evidence. It needs feeling. You could be the most generous, emotionally available, supportive man on earth. But if she put you in the just a friend box, that's where you'll stay. Because women don't upgrade boxes. They switch them. They leave one man for another who already feels like the right box. So the real question is, what makes her put you in one box over another? Simple. It's how you carry yourself. How grounded you are. How little you need her validation. How unpredictable your energy is. See, the guys who end up in the safe but boring category, they overexpress. They're too eager. They text too fast. They smile too much. They give away power in the first 5 minutes. And women feel that. It's not about being cold. It's about being centered. Stoicism teaches that your value isn't proven, it's projected. You don't earn her interest by trying harder. You command it by needing less. When she meets a man who isn't chasing, who isn't overeager, who doesn't flinch under pressure, that man triggers a different response. She gets curious. She wonders if she fits into his life, not the other way around. And that curiosity is gold, because curiosity leads to attraction. Attraction leads to pursuit. Pursuit leads to emotional investment. But once you're in the wrong box, that chain never starts. Let me give you something real. There's a guy, kind, smart, successful. He meets a girl at a dinner party. They hit it off. She laughs. She touches his arm. It's all green lights. So what does he do? He sends her a long text that night, tells her how amazing she was, offers to take her out, again and again. Too fast, too much. And just like that, click, she labels him. Too available, too eager, nice, but not exciting. Another guy enters the same room, says little, makes eye contact, smiles once. She spends the whole night wondering what he's thinking. He said 5 words, but left a mark. That's the box she wants to explore. Now here's where you gain back control. Stop trying to escape the box. Start showing up from day one, as the man who defines it. Don't overshare. Don't overgive. Don't overexpress. Let her earn the deeper parts of you. Stoicism calls this temperance the discipline of self-control. You don't throw your energy around hoping someone will value it. You preserve it. You direct it. You own it. And when you do that, when your presence says more than your words ever could, she won't rush to label you. She'll pause. She'll wait. She'll watch. And that pause, that's your opening. Because the man she can't easily figure out, that's the one who stays on her mind. Comment below. I define myself. And keep watching. Because the next thing we're about to uncover, it flips the entire game upside down. Number 2. No authority, no desiri. Let's get this straight. If she doesn't feel your authority, she won't feel attraction. Now, I'm not talking about dominance. Not shouting. Not controlling. That's not authority. Authority is your inner command. It's your ability to lead with calm, to take responsibility for the energy in the room, to make decisions and stand by them, to not flinch when she tests your boundaries. And women can sense it instantly. She doesn't need you to bark orders. She needs to feel that you don't look to her for permission. Here's what most men don't get. When a woman feels like she's the one steering the ship, planning every date, directing every conversation, fixing every emotional gap, she starts to feel something dangerous, unprotected. And when a woman feels unprotected, she disconnects from desire. Why? Because attraction for women isn't just about looks. It's about energy. It's about feeling like the man across from her could guide her, contain her emotions, take the weight of decision-making off her shoulders. That doesn't mean she wants to be controlled. It means she wants to feel relaxed in your presence. And that only happens when you stop hesitating, stop asking her how she feels before you've decided how you feel. Let's make it real. You meet her, you like her. So what do most guys do? They try to read her mood every second. They apologize before they speak. They avoid tension. They let her choose where to go, when to meet, what pace to move. And in doing so, they kill the very thing that attracted her in the first place. She doesn't want indecision. She wants direction. She may not say it. She may even act like she's the one calling the shots. But underneath that, she's begging to feel your steadiness. Here's a secret. A woman doesn't test you because she's cruel. She tests you because she wants to feel your edges. She wants to know if she can push your buttons, if she can control your emotions, if she can break your frame. Not because she wants to break it, but because she wants to trust it. And if you crumble, she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel turned on. She feels tired. Stoicism teaches the idea of self-mastery, not over others, but over your impulses. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you bring that into your relationships, you stop trying to win approval. You start bringing structure. You don't ask, "What does she want from me?" You ask, "What kind of man do I choose to be? And does she align with that?" Authority isn't force. It's focus. It's the ability to say, "This is where I'm going. You're welcome to come with me." And that subtle shift, that energy of grounded leadership, is what flips a woman's attraction switch on. Let's take a moment. Think about a guy who has his life together, not because he's rich, but because he makes decisions quickly, holds people to standards, and doesn't need constant affirmation. Women orbit him, not because he's loud, but because he doesn't chase. He offers direction, not confusion. That's authority. And that's what creates desire. Now here's your challenge. Next time you feel uncertain, don't ask what will make her happy. Ask, what action aligns with the man I'm becoming? And take it. Because every time you hesitate, every time you defer, you trade your power for temporary comfort, and women can feel it. If that hit you somewhere deep, type, "I lead myself," in the comments. Because men who live with direction don't just get attention, they earn respect. And keep watching, because the next truth will make you rethink everything you thought would win her over. Number 3. Nice guys don't get the girl. Let's say it out loud. Nice doesn't turn her on. Now I know, you've been told the opposite your whole life. Be polite. Be available. Be a gentleman. Always check in. Never challenge hair. That's what they say. But here's what really happens. You do all of that, and she gets bored. She says you're amazing, but she doesn't feel the spark. She says you're a great guy, but she needs time. She says you deserve someone better, and then starts texting the guy who barely even noticed her. It feels unfair, but it's not about fairness. It's about nature. See, nice often comes from fear. Fear of upsetting her. Fear of losing her. Fear of not being enough. And that fear, even when disguised as kindness, is something she feels in her gut. Because at the core, women don't want a man who's afraid to take up space. They want a man who's grounded enough to hold tension, not a doormat, a presence. Now don't get this twisted. There's a massive difference between being good and being nice. Being good means you're honest, direct, calm, and in control. You don't manipulate. You don't seek revenge, but you also don't fold just to avoid discomfort. Being nice is usually just a strategy. You smile when you want to scream. You agree when you want to walk away. You say yes because you're afraid to lose the opportunity. And that's not strength. That's survival. Women can sense it. They might like it. They might even appreciate it in the short term. But désir, that comes from something else. Desire comes from polarity, from contrast, from a man who stands his ground even when it's not easy. A Stoic man doesn't seek approval. He seeks alignment. He doesn't try to be chosen. He chooses. And that shift, from pleasing to leading, changes everything. Let me show you how it plays out in real life. There's a guy named Matt. Smart, sensitive, always there when she needed him. He'd listen for hours, support her endlessly, drop plans to be available. He thought he was doing everything right. And she even told him, "You're such a good guy. I don't want to lose your friendship." That line burned. Meanwhile, she kept going back to the guy who barely replied to her texts, the guy who didn't bend. Why? Because women aren't attracted to kindness alone. They're attracted to self-respect. The man who won't tolerate disrespect. The man who values his time. The man who can walk away. That's the man who makes her feel something real. And here's the truth. Most guys don't want to hear. If you have to earn her attention by sacrificing your boundaries. You never had her desire to begin with. You're not a nice guy. You're a scared man hiding behind politeness, and she knows it. So what do? You stop trying to be liked and start being real. You express what you want. You walk away when your standards aren't met. You stop performing and start leading. Stoicism teaches you to live by principle, not by reaction. You don't act based on how she'll respond. You act based on who you are. And that kind of man, that man pulls people in without even trying. So let's reset what nice means. Be kind. Be respectful. Be honest. But don't ever betray your integrity just to win someone over. Because if you do, you'll lose the one thing she was drawn to in the first place. Your strength. If this part resonated with you, and you've been that guy who gave too much too soon, drop a comment and say, "I respect myself," because that's where real attraction begins. And keep watching. What we reveal next will explain why your silence might be the most powerful thing she hears. Number 4. Vulnerability isn't what you think. You've been told to open up, to be vulnerable, to let her in. But here's the part they left out. Vulnerability isn't attractive when it feels like weakness. It's attractive when it feels like strength. Let that sink in. Most men confuse vulnerability with oversharing. They think telling her about their childhood trauma, their anxiety, their every fear, is how they'll win her emotional connection. But more often than not, it backfires. Why? Because when a man uses vulnerability as a way to earn closeness, it comes across as neediness, a silent plea for validation. And women are biologically wired to sense that energy. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel masculine. It feels like pressure. Now, does that mean you should be a stone wall with no emotion? Absolutely not. But there's a difference between being emotionally honest and emotionally dependent. True vulnerability is showing your truth without expecting her to fix it. It's when you can say, I've been through things. I carry my own scars. I'm not perfect, but you're still grounded, still centered, still unshaken. That's the kind of vulnerability that earns her trust. Because it's not coming from a boy looking for a mother. It's coming from a man who knows who he is. Let me give you something real. There was a man, call him Daniel. Met a woman he really liked. She asked him why he never talked about his past. Instead of spilling it all, he said this: I've had pain, yeah. Things I had to grow through. But I'm not here to bleed on someone else's floor. I've learned from it. That's what matters. And in that moment, she leaned in closer, not because he gave her the details, but because his energy said, I've been through hell, and I came back stronger. That's the power of Stoic vulnerability. It's not about dumping your emotions onto someone else. It's about owning them, not running from them, not hiding behind them, not needing someone else to carry them for you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. A woman is drawn to a man who can feel deeply, but not collapse under the weight of what he feels. She wants to see that you can be open, but not fragile. You can cry, but you don't fall apart. You can admit doubt, but you don't spiral into self-loathing. She needs to see that your emotions have depth, but they don't drown you. That's what earns her respect. That's what builds the kind of connection that actually lasts. Because here's the brutal truth. If your vulnerability is used to manipulate attention, if you're opening up just to get her to stay, she'll sense it, and she'll start to pull away. But if your vulnerability is quiet strength, if it's self-aware, not self-pitying, then she'll feel safe. Because now, you're not asking her to be your savior. You're inviting her into your truth, on your terms, from a place of power. So here's the challenge. Next time you feel pain, don't hide it, but don't weaponize it either. Sit with it, own it, speak from it, but don't use it as currency to buy affection, because that's not vulnerability. That's emotional debt, and you deserve more than that. If this truth hits something in you, type, I own my truth in the comments. Not because you have something to prove, but because you're the kind of man who doesn't need to hide anymore. And keep watching, because what comes next is the one shift that will flip the dynamic between you and every woman you meet. Number 5. Cold men create heat. Here's the paradox nobody talks about. The colder you are emotionally, the more heat she feels toward you. And I know how that sounds. Like manipulation, like game playing, but it's not. It's psychology. See, when a man is emotionally distant, not numb, but unavailable in just the right way, it triggers something primal in her. Curiosity, challenge, desire. It flips a switch that no amount of nice guy attention ever could. Now let's break this down. Cold doesn't mean cruel. Cold doesn't mean silent treatment, ghosting, or being heartless. It means detached from outcome. Not emotionally chasing validation, not showing your hand every second. And this hits deep for women, because most men are too eager, too expressive, too available, and too fast to reveal every thought and emotion. But the man who holds a little back, who doesn't try to convince her, who speaks calmly, walks away easily, and doesn't fill silence out of fear. That man creates tension, and tension is the beginning of desire. Here's the trick no one teaches. If she knows where she stands with you at every moment, she doesn't have to think about you. But if she's unsure, if you remain centered but unreadable, you live in her head all day. That's where heat is built. In the mind. You don't need to chase. You need to be the one man who isn't predictable, who isn't needy, who can connect, but doesn't need connection to feel whole. This is where Stoicism hits hard. A Stoic doesn't repress emotions. He regulates them. He doesn't seek comfort. He seeks clarity. He doesn't need to be warm all the time, because he knows his silence says more than his words ever could. Remember, Epictetus taught, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And desire lives in imagination. If she can't fully read you, if you're calm, distant, a little mysterious, her imagination does the rest. She starts wondering, what's he thinking? Does he even like me? Why hasn't he texted? And in that space, emotion brews. Now think about every nice guy she forgot. Why did he fade from memory so quickly? Because there was no friction, no unpredictability, no cold contrast to make her burn hotter. Let's make this real. A guy named Leo went on 3 dates with a woman he adored. He opened doors, texted daily, sent long messages about how much he liked her. She ghosted by the 4th week. 2 months later, she started liking his Instagram stories again. He ignored it. Another week passed. She messaged him, "Hey, just thinking about you today." She wasn't thinking about him when he was warm and present. She started thinking about him when he was calm and gone. Why? Because cold creates contrast, and contrast creates impact. But here's the key. You don't fake cold. You become the kind of man who isn't swayed by attention. You're not rude. You're just focused. You're not aloof. You just don't broadcast every emotional impulse. That's self-command. It's rare, and it's magnetic. She wants warmth, but only from a man who knows how to be cold. If this clicked for you, drop this in the comments. I hold my frame. It's not about hiding who you are. It's about owning it, even when it makes her chase a little harder. And don't go anywhere, because the next truth will flip what you thought masculine energy really means. Number 6, she is always testing you. Here's a truth a lot of men never realize. She's always testing you. Not just in the beginning, not just when things get rocky, always. Now, I'm not saying she's doing this with bad intentions. She's not playing games. She's checking for something deep, almost subconscious. Are you who you say you are? Because to a woman, consistency is safety. And testing you, it's how she knows you're solid. Most men fail these tests because they don't even know they're happening. She cancels last minute. You react emotionally. She brings up an ex. You get jealous. She flirts with distance. You chase harder. Every one of those moments is a test. Not because she's cruel, but because she's watching your frame. Your reaction tells her everything about your inner world. And the second you collapse, she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel turned on. She just feels like she's the one leading. And women don't want to lead. They want to relax into your certainty. That's where Stoicism becomes your edge. Because when you live by principle, not by emotion, you stop reacting. You start observing. When she pulls away, you don't panic. You stay calm. When she tests your boundaries, you hold the line without anger, without drama. When she creates tension, you let it breathe. And that's what makes her feel something. Let me give you an example. There's a guy, let's call him Brandon. Smart, emotionally in tune, used to getting walked over. He meets a woman, sparks fly. But then it starts. She texts back slower, starts playfully mocking him, cancels dinner last minute, says something came up. The old Brandon would have begged for attention. This version, he texts back, all good, take care. And he leaves it there. no passive aggression, no silent war, no manipulation, just calm. 3 days later, she sends a photo of her coffee. No caption, just a hook. He doesn't reply immediately. He waits until he has something real to say. That shift? She felt it. She stopped testing because she realized he doesn't flinch. And that's the goal. Not to win her tests, but to be so grounded they don't even move you. See, a woman doesn't want to be the storm. She wants to test her chaos against your structure. That's how she knows you can handle her emotions, her insecurities, her passion. Because if you crumble over a slow reply, how will you hold steady when life actually gets hard? Stoic men know this. They expect tests. They don't resent them. They just don't react to them. And women respect that more than any words you could ever say. Now let's break this down in Stoic terms. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most tests are imagined threats. They're illusions. And when you respond with emotional panic, you give those illusions power. But when you stay still, you break the pattern, and she starts to trust that you're different. So next time she pushes, don't push back. Stand still. Let her feel the weight of your stability. And here's the irony. When she realizes she can't break your frame, that's when she actually opens up. Because now she knows you're not a boy needing her approval. You're a man anchored in your own truth. If you've ever felt confused by her mixed signals, her hot and cold energy, or her sudden change in tone, just remember, it's not always a red flag. Sometimes it's just her checking, can I really trust this man's energy? If this part lit something up in you, drop a comment that says, I stay unshaken, and stay with me. The next insight will reframe how you think about control and why giving it up might make you more powerful. Number 7, safety is more important than love. Here's something most men miss. Women don't stay where they feel the most love. They stay where they feel the most safe. And no, we're not talking about physical safety. We're talking about emotional safety, psychological safety. The feeling that she can show up fully flawed, feminine, uncertain, and you won't crumble. That's more valuable to her than any I love you ever could be. Because for a woman, love without safety is chaos. You can say you love her 10 times a day, buy her gifts, text her, good morning, do all the sweet things. But if your emotions swing wildly, if your energy is unstable, she feels like she's walking on eggshells. That's not love to her. That's stress. Now, here's the part you need to hear. Men confuse intensity with connection. They think, if I love hard, if I give more, she'll feel secure. But it's the opposite. The more pressure she feels from your emotions, the less safe she feels in her own. She doesn't need you to be intense. She needs you to be anchored. Because if you're centered, she can be soft. And when she feels that, she relaxes. She opens. She trusts. That's what real intimacy is built on. Let's take a real example. There's a guy named Marcus. Big heart, passionate, wears his emotions on his sleeve. He meets someone amazing. They click instantly. But as soon as she starts pulling back, Marcus overreacts. Long messages, deep confessions, late night calls. He thinks he's showing love. She thinks, this is too much. Because what she actually wanted was space to figure things out while knowing that he wouldn't fall apart. But Marcus couldn't give her that. He loved hard, but he wasn't safe. Now contrast that with another type of man. Let's call him Adrian. Adrian feels the same anxiety. He misses her too. But instead of chasing, he breathes, he reflects, he waits. And when she reaches out, he responds with calm, not demand. That calm becomes her safety. She realizes, even when I'm unsure, he stays certain. And that certainty, that's what draws her closer. Here's where Stoicism enters. The Stoic doesn't suppress feeling. He disciplines it. He knows that showing strength doesn't mean never being vulnerable. It means not letting emotion own him. Marcus confused vulnerability with panic. Adrian understood that vulnerability requires structure, emotion with backbone, passion with poise. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You want her to feel free around you. Master yourself. Because women don't feel safe with men who lose themselves in love. They feel safe with men who stay themselves through love. So the next time you think, "I just need to love her more," pause. Ask instead, can she breathe around me? Can she trust that I won't turn her uncertainty into my chaos? If she can answer yes to that, you've done something rare. You've made her feel safe without smothering her. And that's what keeps her. If this landed for you, drop this in the comments. I choose calm. Let it be a signal that you're not here to be another emotional burden. You're here to be the one place she feels safe to fall. And trust me, you'll want to see what's next. Because we're about to explore why masculine energy has nothing to do with volume and everything to do with presence. Number 8. Her confidence is skin deep. You see her walking into the room, head high, eyes locked forward, dressed like she owns the world. Confidence, right? Not always. Here's the truth that most men miss. Her confidence? It's often a performance. Not because she's fake, but because she's protecting something. Underneath the perfect posture, the bold lipstick, the icy attitude, is someone hoping you don't see the cracks. This is what we mean when we say, her confidence is skin deep. It lives on the surface, it's curated, it's strategic. And if you fall for it at face value, you'll misunderstand everything she does. Why does she act so cold? Why does she push you away after things feel close? Why does she flirt with you one minute and ghost you the next? Because confidence is her armor. It doesn't mean she's unshakable. It means she's scared of being truly seen. Women in today's world are praised for independence, for power, for not needing anyone. But what no one tells them is that deep connection, the kind they crave late at night. Recueillir surrender. And surrender is terrifying. It means letting go of control. It means letting a man in. It means risking the exact kind of pain they've been taught to avoid. So instead, she puts on the act. She appears untouchable. She speaks like she's done with men. She posts like she's thriving solo. But you want to know what she's really doing. She's watching how you handle the show. She's testing, can this man see through the mask and still hold his own? Because most men do the wrong thing. They get intimidated. They try to prove themselves. They chase harder, validate more, perform louder. And that just confirms to her, yep, another one who can't hold the frame. But the man who sees through it and doesn't flinch, that man stays on her mind. Because he doesn't chase the mask. He speaks to what's beneath it. Now this is where Stoicism flips the game. A Stoic doesn't respond to surface emotions. He observes them. He lets people reveal who they are, not who they pretend to be. He knows that loud confidence is often loud insecurity in disguise. So he doesn't try to fix her. He doesn't try to peel back the layers with pressure. He just stands still. And in that stillness, she slowly opens. Because finally, someone isn't trying to impress her. Someone isn't reacting to the mask. Someone sees her and stays calm. That's how you make her feel safe enough to be real. It's not about breaking down her walls. It's about being the kind of man she feels safe letting them drop around. So next time you meet the girl who doesn't need anyone, who plays it cool, who talks like nothing gets to her, don't be fooled. Don't be scared. And definitely don't overcompensate. Just watch. Let her reveal herself on her timeline and show her, through your stillness, that you don't need a performance to stay interested. If this gave you clarity, drop a comment that says, I see beneath, and stick around. The next truth, it'll rewire how you understand attraction permanently. Number 9. Attention is her drug. If you want to understand modern attraction, you have to start with this brutal truth. Attention is her drug. It's not love, not connection, not even intimacy. It's attention, raw, steady, on demand. Why? Because we live in an era where attention is currency, and for many women, it's the fastest way to feel validated. Every like, DM, story reply, it's a hit. It's dopamine. And like any drug, the more she gets, the more she craves. But here's the catch. Just because she wants your attention doesn't mean she wants you. This is where most men fall into the trap. They think, she's texting me, she's watching my stories, she laughs at my jokes, she must like me. No, man, she likes the attention. And if you remove that, if you stop chasing, stop flooding her with validation, you'll see how quickly she either vanishes or starts pulling you back in. Because when attention is her addiction, your silence is withdrawal. Let's get real with an example. A guy named Eli starts talking to a woman who seems all in. Late night texts, quick replies, inside jokes. He gets hooked. But then she starts pulling away. Doesn't make plans. Leaves messages on read, but still watches all his stories. Eli thinks she's still interested. Maybe she's just busy. Nah, she's getting her hit without giving anything back. She doesn't need the date. She just needs the energy. And this is where men must reclaim their power. Because the moment you realize your attention is valuable, you stop giving it away like it's free. You become intentional, selective, stoic. A stoic man understands that not all attention is meaningful. He knows that his focus is his presence, and he doesn't waste it on someone who isn't showing up in real life. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That includes how you manage your energy. Don't become another dopamine supplier. Become the man she actually respects. Because when she realizes you won't feed her addiction, you won't perform, validate, beg. You do something radical. You stand out. Now, instead of being one of 10 guys orbiting her inbox, you're the one who sees the game and walks away from it. And that gets her attention more than any compliment ever could. Because now she's wondering, why doesn't he need me watching? Why is he okay without the chase? Why do I feel his absence more than other men's presence? It's simple. You detached from the noise. You moved in silence. You made your energy expensive. So the next time you're tempted to feed the craving, pause. Ask yourself, is she here for me or for the feeling I give her? If it's the second, you know what to do. If this hit home, drop this in the comments. I protect my focus, and stay with me. Because the next insight, it's about silence, pain, and why her quiet says more than any words ever could. Number 10. Her desire does not stay constant. There's something every man needs to accept if he wants peace in relationships. Her desire will not stay the same. It doesn't matter how great things started, how passionate the connection felt, how much she seemed into you. Desire isn't fixed. It fluctuates. It's deeply tied to emotion, environment, and perception. And when you treat it like a constant, you suffer. Here's where most guys get blindsided. One week, she's all over you, texting, calling, craving time together. Next week, it's radio silence. You replay everything, wondering, what did I do wrong? But it's not always about you. Sometimes, her desire dips because of something internal. Stress, hormones, an unresolved thought she can't explain. Even just a shift in how she perceives herself in the moment. That's how feminine desire works. It moves like the tide. And your job as a man, stop trying to control the ocean. Learn how to anchor through the storm. Here's the danger. When men feel her desire dropping, they panic. They try to recreate the high. They overtext, overpraise, overinvest, trying to get back to what it used to feel like. But that desperation doesn't bring her closer. It repels her, because desire isn't sparked by neediness. It's sparked by distance, mystery, and your ability to stay composed when she's unsure. Let's look at it through a Stoic lens. The Stoic man isn't shaken by emotional weather. He expects change. He prepares for it. And more importantly, he doesn't make every shift about him. As Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So when her energy cools, he doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He holds. He stays grounded in who he is, not in how she feels at the moment. And that stability, it reignites her attraction. Because nothing makes a woman lose desire faster than a man who loses himself the moment she shifts. Let's break it down with a quick story. There's a man named Jonah. Things were great at first. Fun conversation, deep connection, passionate nights. But then, she started getting distant. Fewer texts, shorter calls, less warmth. Jonah panicked. He asked what was wrong. He tried to plan more dates. He told her how much he missed her. And with each move, she pulled further away. Now compare that to a man like Leo. Same situation, she pulls back. But instead of reacting, Leo stays calm. He gives her space. He doesn't punish her or reward her. He continues living. When she finally circles back, and they always do, she finds him right where she left him. Stable, grounded, present. And that presence, that's what reawakens her desire. Because while her emotions were in motion, his weren't dictated by them. That's what women crave at their core. Not just chemistry, not just romance, but the certainty of a man who won't collapse when she does. So the truth is this: her desire may waver, but if your sense of self does too, she can't trust the relationship. Hold your frame, honor the flow, but don't follow it, and you'll find that her desire doesn't disappear. It just circles back to where the gravity is strongest. That gravity is you. So now you see it. The truths no one told you. The things most men realize too late. But you know them now. And once you see, you can't unsee. You start showing up differently. You stop chasing confusion. You start demanding clarity. That's the difference between a man who plays the game and a man who rewrites the rules by simply refusing to play. If this video hit something real for you, if you felt understood, if you felt seen, then you're already one step ahead of the noise. But don't walk this path alone. Subscribe to the channel, because here we don't just talk Stoicism, we live it in relationships, in growth, in presence. And if you're ready to go deeper, to sharpen your mindset, to connect with men like you, join the Stoic Brotherhood. We meet where the noise ends and the strength begins. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.